Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Kim from Good News Mental Health Podcast. Do you have a big gig coming up, or a speaking gig, or a sermon, or exam, or even a new relationship, and you just can't calm the nerves right before the event? Well, this video is for you. Because for most of the high achievers like you and me, we don't really suffer during the performance. It's usually right before and after. And it's not because you're weak. You know the stuff. People recognize you for it, and people go to you for questions and information. It's not the lack of ability issue, but it's because you learned the lesson earlier on in your childhood that I'm only safe when I'm useful. And that lesson was not learned in the adulthood. Maybe it got confirmed in the adulthood, but actually that lesson started in childhood. When you were a child who had to mature and step up to the plate emotionally, mentally, or even cognitively, you didn't have the luxury of falling apart or being a child or making a mistake or even asking for help. Your system adapted to the surrounding around you. Maybe you had parents with flaws. I mean, we all do, but significant flaws that you had to step up and play the parentified role. Maybe you had to translate for your parents who couldn't speak English in a new country. Maybe your parents had addiction issues and they could not function as an adult, and you had to step up and take care of your younger siblings. There was no room to mess up. And this caused you to be very alert, very responsible, and very thorough. And that adaptation worked. I bet if you're watching this video, those quality and skill set that you gained as a child really served you well, and you went really far, and everybody's proud of you. But with every performance, every event that comes up, you get the jitters before and after. Why is that? So today I want to talk about what you and I need to hear as a high achievers with parentified childhood, what you need to hear to be calm and confident before you go on stage. Point number one. Your worth is not determined by your performance or how well you perform. Here's the thing that you need to know about you right now is that your worth is not at stake based on your performance. When you had to perform as a parent figure or older than your age figure, your worth was determined by the product that you produce in the family dynamics. Maybe you were the peacemaker. Maybe you were the behind the scenes therapist for, conflicts in the family. Maybe you're a child celebrity, literally bringing in finance security for your family. But when those habits of taking care of other people and other people's feelings, or maybe taking care of other people's physical means, is no longer needed and maybe appreciated as much as an adult, but now it's out of habit, then you can't stop. And you know what's really interesting about what it says about worth and performance in the Bible? When Jesus started his ministry, he first decided to get baptized by John the Baptist. But you know what God told Jesus before his ministry began? It says, "This is my beloved son with whom I'm very well pleased," in Matthew 3:17. This was before the ministry. He didn't perform anything. And you know what that scripture really told me is that my worth and how lovable I am and how loved I am was never determined by how I made other people feel or how I made God feel. His feelings for us and you and me don't change because of how well we do things or how well we take care of other people or how well we treat other people. It's actually irrelevant and independent from that. So I just want you to know that before you step up to the stage or event or exam, that this is not a time to prove your worth. Your worth is already determined, and it will not be shaken by your performance. Point number two, responsibility was learned, not chosen. The second thing that high achievers need to hear before they perform is this. Just because you learned responsibility early doesn't mean that you have to carry that burden forever. A lot of times as a psychiatrist and just in a mental health field, I hear this a lot. I am a people pleaser, or I am a warrior, or I'm an overcompensator. There is a personal identity attached to the burdens and emotional responsibilities that you have to carry since you're a child. And lo and behold, if I know a little bit about their history, they tend to have parentified childhood, or they tend to have trauma where they had to step up and be the bigger person than they actually were when they were a child. But now in adulthood, in a different situation where it's not chaotic and not traumatic, it seems very difficult to let go of those roles that they played and you and I played for a very long time, because that role provided a sense of safety, a list of things to do, or something that I can do about it. But if you continue to people please, if you continue to overcompensate, if you continue to worry out of habit, what becomes a dissociation and disconnect is that Their situation is no longer how chaotic it was as a childhood, and they're no longer expected to fulfill the roles in that dynamic. And letting go of those roles might give you actually more fear response than freedom response. So if you're stepping on stage and being responsible and aiming for excellence and trying to do your best, which is a really good thing. But just pay attention to where this need to perform and need to be excellent and need to people please and need to overcompensate comes from. If it's from a place of fear, it's probably you overcorrecting the current situation that you're in. And maybe you're asking yourself or expecting more out of yourself than the actual situation requires of you. Now, here's where the most high achievers get stuck. You know all this and you're like, okay, I know this concept. I heard it before. I saw it on Instagram, but I still feel this engine revving up and I just cannot seem to stop, right? I'm on the hamster wheel. I know it. I know it. I know it. I know that it's not sustainable. I just don't know how to stop. That calls for not understanding more things. It actually requires you to step down from the hamster wheel and reparent your parentified child inside. So it's not lack of insight, but it's lack of practice of reparenting. And that leads us to point number 3. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more knowledge. You don't need more skill set. You actually need more parenting. And this is what I mean by parenting. Somebody who's bigger than you, wiser than you, more able than you, able to tell yourself, you're safe, you're good, and I'm proud of you no matter what, and you're never alone. We need that oxytocin a little bit in our system because we never got it. We had the parent who, or adult figures who gave us dopamine and reinforcement for performance. We never knew what intimacy and closeness and unconditional love felt like, which is a true oxytocin and true intimacy with our parent figures. And in the beginning, self-parenting and saying those nice things to ourselves can feel really awkward. It can feel really fake. It can feel really fluffy. And you're like, oh, I don't need that. I just need to perform. Again, that is that our internal drive to produce an outcome that is tangible and that just keeps on that reinforcement of I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. But if this video makes you pause and say, I can't keep on living like that. I can't keep on living for external validation. I need that internal validation to flow inside of me that I don't need another validation. That's the role of the self-parenting, is understanding your limitations and being okay with it and your worth and safety, being irrelevant and independent from your performance and just being who you are is good enough. That's what the parents are supposed to do. And to explain the process of self-parenting, right? That's like kind of like a trendy word nowadays. It's really unfortunate because as adults, we cannot expect our earthly or biological parents to parent us again because we're adults and maybe they're not capable to give that kind of love because of their history. And we cannot control other people's lives and their choices. We can only control ourselves. So how do we even start self-parenting, especially if saying these things even just makes us vomit or get nauseous about it because we're just so unfamiliar with it, right? So a lot of times people go to therapy because a therapist is a third person that you can actually talk to and listen to who can kind of embody that parent figure to nurture your soul, maybe for the first time, or maybe as a community member at your church or in your mom's group or dad's group that can really nurture that energy for you. But what if you want to try understanding the concepts of self-parenting first? Well, this is where I created a course called Be Still to Move Forward. So it's a self-paced, self-parenting course where I teach you the components of self-parenting, recognizing the patterns in your head, self-negative inner dialogue, and how to check that and reframe that and really enter into the space to meet your inner child, that parentified inner child, so that we don't have to run this hamster wheel again. It teaches you the practice of getting off the hamster wheel and just kind of assessing and feeling and thinking through things and going back to the hamster wheel. Because my point for you in creating these videos is not for you to stop achieving. It's not to cap your capability or productivity. It's so that you can have a sustainable success in your life that is full of love and celebration, not only for other people, but also for you. So right now, I'll put the link in the description box to try out my course for free. No risk, no harm done. So here's a last thing that I want to say to you today. You don't have to earn safety anymore. The child who learned to hold everyone and everything together did a great job. But you don't have to do that anymore. And healing your parentified child doesn't mean that you're becoming more weak. It actually means that you're becoming more free. And I want you to be free and laughing so that that inner child can finally have the childhood that is so wanted to have, just to play and make mistakes and just have fun. So I hope that this episode helped you today. And if you're interested in that course, I'll put that link in the description box and check out the other episodes in the Good News Mental Health podcast. Leave a review and I'll see you in the next video.